Hi, it's Roo here, just interrupting the podcast to tell you about the Coda membership. The Coda membership is for filmmakers who want to level up their work and join a supportive community. You get access to an ever-growing library of online masterclasses by some of the UK's best wedding filmmakers. On top of that, you'll also get free access to our Coda workshops that are taking place up and down the country. These are hands-on days where we share, critique and improve our work together. You get online access to all of our conference talks, and if you've been struggling to get hold of tickets to our sellout conferences, with the membership you now get first dibs. So come and join us so together we can learn, grow and connect. Visit coda-conference.com or click the link in the description below. Good evening, Arran. Welcome to the Coda podcast again.
Hello, mate. It's good to be back.
Were you my second ever guest, possibly? You're definitely one of the first.
I think so, yeah. You had Big Phil on, didn't you, just to warm you up before you got me on.
So maybe it was Lawson's, Phil, and then you. And maybe you were
was it
number
Lawson's
three
first? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
they were first.
Have you had anyone else on twice before?
Becky Thompson. We had her twice. Yeah. So, mate, you ain't that big a deal. We've already had someone on twice. But it's great to have you on, mate. This is the Coda Chats episode, which is a little bit more informal. So I'm not going to be badgering you on prices and stuff like I normally do. We all know that anyway. Look, episode 3, if you want to know how much he charges.
Wait, so we're not doing the quick fire questions anymore?
We're not, mate. No, we've done it before. But are your prices gone up or down since we last chatted?
Stayed
the same.
Down and then back to the same, but I'm including a lot more now.
Oh, okay. Do you know, I want to talk about it. I can't resist. What? Okay, so you went down. You went down in price.
Yeah, I went down, and then I just think the market. So I was at 5K. I dropped down to like 4.5, just because the last couple of years bookings have been slower, and I think the market's changed. I think it's way more saturated. There's just way more videographers, and everyone's just so bloody good, aren't they? Like you see people who've just been doing it 6 months, and they're the same standard as people who've been doing it 5 years, and it's crazy. It's just cameras are so cheap, the education's all there. You got people like you doing courses for next to no money at all, and it's a really good deal. There you go.
Drop the advert in now.
So I think the market's just changed, and I just felt that I was struggling a bit more at 5K, especially with what I was offering, which was like a cinematic film plus so many speeches, and that was it. And then I kind of stuck at 4.5 for a little while, and then got a bit of confidence back. I think also maybe my appetite for risk changed because, as you know, I had a son. Yeah. And then so now I've kind of crept back up to 5K, but I'm including a doc film as standard. Yeah. So everyone just kind of gets everything. I'm including a teaser as standard as well.
Oh, okay. So they're getting a teaser, like kind of 60 second. They're getting your cinematic film, which usually is around 7 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then a doc edit. So how do you handle a doc edit? Is that what we would call raw footage, or is it a little bit more refined than that?
Bit more. So it's all the raw footage in a timeline, but I go through and I take out the bits that, where I'm filming my feet or whatever. And I might add some music over little bits where there's no natural audio. And I have to go through and grade it all because it's log. But then it really helps. Like I treat that as my cull and also my grading step. So then when I do the cinematic film, like everything's kind of graded. It just needs little tweaks from there.
Oh wow! So you're grading everything then because you get doing that doc edit.
Yeah, I think I'm actually quite an inconsistent shooter. So I do, everything does need grading, especially like when you're in log. But I think a lot of people you just chuck your LUT on and it all looks fine. But I find I actually have to go through and tweak quite a lot.
Yeah, because you shoot auto white balance.
I don't anymore.
Do you not? Okay.
No.
So now you got that locked in. I thought surely that'd be more consistent.
I think I like the flexibility on the day to be like, I don't need to adjust exposure every second. I can shoot this at +2 or -2 and it's fine, and then fix it later. I think I'd rather have that freedom on the day to be kind of operating on the fly.
And that's what log's giving you, basically. Mm. Yeah. But I can't help but dive into the technical stuff with you. But anyway, we'll move on to that. So now, you did a little bit of a dip in prices, got a bit of confidence as work came in and then put it back again kind of thing. Mm. But say the market's saturated as well. But not only that, I think people can come in and are at a good level starting off. But the other thing is they're coming in fresh, they're bringing a new perspective with them. So maybe they're not shackled by a lot of the things that we are as like the older filmmakers, things that we've thought, the rules, for example. I don't know. They can come in with a fresh perspective and potentially ignore those rules, but also their standard of their shooting is great as well.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're coming in, having grown up on like short form content, which I imagine we're about to talk a lot about, then their perception of just what content is different to ours.
Yeah. And they now to approach it, how to market it potentially.
But I think we've obviously started with the longer form stuff, and then we've started offering 60-second teasers. Whereas people coming in now, they're probably coming in that they're being reared on 60-second teasers, and then the long form stuff's just the afterthought.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that kind of changes your approach a lot.
What's your thoughts on the kind of, I keep putting this question out to everybody because I think this is what I was going to move to. Having, rather than the traditional like 3 to 5 and then like a 10 plus, it being more a package where it's like a minute, like a reel, and then doc edit, those two as part of a package. Do you think that's like something that people would be wanting going forward? Like they want that quick fix for socials. They're not bothered about anything in the middle, but then they want the really full in-depth thing as well. They're not bothered about anything in between those two.
I reckon you could come up with any kind of package and you'll find a niche for it. I'm sometimes really surprised by how much value people seem to get out of the documentary film, and they say, I get some clients that say that's way better than the 6 to 8 minute film. You should really push that harder. And then others that are like, we'll never watch that. It's nice to have, but we'll never watch it. And I just think you could come up with any film length and any combination, and you will find your people, because I just think we can't cater for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think there will be people out there that, they just want the 60-second teaser and then they want the doc film. Whereas like my ideal client, they're not that bothered about the 60-second teaser.
No, they want the one that's got the thought and time put into it, kind of like that middle ground. Because you're getting married this year, aren't you, mate? So what would you want from your,
probably.
What would you, oh, is it next year? It's everyone else, it's Bronte and Ali that are getting married this year, and Dan, isn't it? Everyone else except you, mate.
Is Ali getting married? I didn't even know Ali was getting married.
Isn't he? I think he is.
I'm renovating a house. Surely not.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm doubting myself now. Definitely Dan and definitely Bronte. But what would you want from your filmmaker then? What kind of package would you want? Different to what you deliver, or the same?
No, I think what I've come up with that based on, I think, what I would want.
Yeah.
Because I'd want to be able to see everything, but I also want a small digestible 7-8 minute thing. I don't think I would be that bothered about a teaser, to be honest. But you don't know until you're in that situation. You're waking up the day after your wedding and you think, I want to see some stuff.
Yeah. No, I think I'd rather wait, because I've always said that if me and Jay got married again, that I'd want the Lawsons to shoot it. But I know they do a teaser for every wedding the day after. I think I'd want that. I'd rather wait and have the impact of the footage, seeing the footage for the first time in that proper edit. I think that's what I'd prefer. I don't, but I don't really live on social, so I'm not worried about sharing stuff, I don't think.
I do think sometimes when you get a lukewarm reception to a film, I do wonder sometimes if it's because the teaser was too banging, that then when they've got the film, they've been a bit like, well, never mind.
I've seen all the good bits already. Now you're just dragging it out.
Don't you get ghosted by like 50% of your couple?
It's not 50%, but at least 2 or 3 a year. Yeah. So what's that percent? Like 10% maybe? Yeah. So I can't work that out. But I don't deliver teasers either, so it's not that. Maybe
you don't do teasers at all?
No. Well, they can add it on, but it's rare.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know what the circumstances are behind that. I know like one of our friends, Dan, he said to send just the highlight film first and then follow up. You get the feedback from that, then follow up the rest of the stuff. But I'd rather just send it in one go. Do you?
So you give them like ceremony and speeches and everything.
I give them the whole thing in one go, yeah. So it probably takes them a good few days to just watch it all. And then by the time they go to message back, they probably just don't get round to it.
Well, mine have to message back because I ask for their address. I say, here's your film's ready. Here's the link to watch it. I hope you love it. Let me know your address for me to send the USB. 9 times out of 10, they're coming back saying, we love the film. By the way, here's our address. So
yeah. So they got to come back. Yeah. Oh, God, film's shit, but send it to me anyway. Here's the address. But I do have one
from last year that didn't send me the address yet. So
oh, really? I had that because that's one that I didn't get feedback from. It was the one booking that added on a USB gift set, which I only have it on my price list because I used to deliver USBs, and I thought I want to phase this out, but I'll put it there as an option so they know they're not getting it. Do you know what I mean? When they can see it's an add-on, they know they're not getting it. So I'll put that on there. And this person, they chose it, and then I was chasing them. They didn't reply back after I sent them the whole gallery, but I was gonna have to chase them to get their address, and they never replied. And then 2 years later, like this, and this happened like the other week, they randomly dropped me a 5-star Google review and they still haven't given me their address. That's the most bizarre thing. So God knows what's going on with these people.
Do you send a Google review link, or have they gone out of their way to find you online and leave you a review?
They've gone out of their way to, I do send a Google review, but because they ghosted me, I didn't send them one. That's just in case I had some like terrible feedback to give us something. But it was one of those days where, like, I don't know, I quite often find if I do get ghosted, it's usually the weddings where I'm like, I did a great job on that one. Because we do know there's some, not all weddings are equal, are there? There's some days that are a lot harder than others. And, you know, even though I'm putting 100% effort into every wedding, there's some days where I'm like, oh, you know, I probably won't put this on my website. It's been a battle. But they're all the ones that always seem to have the best feedback. It's the ones that I think I've smashed it where I don't hear anything.
I think you have different relationships with every couple as well, though, don't you? I think for me, the feedback is more about that. It's more about how much do they feel they owe you on a personal level because you've had a lot of connection with them.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that might be different for me because I'm, if I'm only doing 15 weddings a year, you're doing double what I do. You probably are contacting them less than I do.
Yeah, I try to be as hands off as possible. Where I try and keep it to a minimum. Like, I want them to feel informed and comfortable with what's going to happen, but at the same time, I don't want too many back and forth. So maybe that's fed into this.
You don't want to be the best pal.
No, not at all. No. Like, and then when you've got people that want to kind of keep that, I don't get a chance to see my mates anyway, my actual mates. I can't have new ones. But anyway, less about me. The main reason I wanted to get you on for this Coda Chat is the kind of this new thing that is happening in the Arran Kenny world, which is you've completely quit Instagram. I'm assuming, I know from a business point you have. I'm assuming from a personal point of view you have as well.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I don't think it is just in the world of Arran Kenny. I think this is a thing that's happening like across the industry and the world generally. But I mean, yeah, we'll get into it.
So, I mean, it's a brave move, isn't it? Because Instagram is kind of like the main source of bookings and inquiries for a lot of us now. And I know that you've done quite a lot of your work through Instagram and you've put a lot of effort and time into your Instagram account, you know, and creating relations and stuff like that. And you post stories quite regularly. So can you talk us through the motivations behind quitting Instagram, what your thoughts were behind it and how you're going to kind of manage that from a business level going forward?
I think, firstly, you said that it's like the main source for a lot of us. So I know you're like Mr. Stats. And I got my stats up today just to have a look. So since January 2023, like my top lead source has been other wedding suppliers.
Right.
And then my second biggest source has been unspecified.
Helpful.
My third biggest has been Instagram. But since January 23, I've only had 6 bookings from Instagram versus like a combined, 30 from other wedding suppliers and unspecified. So the problem is unspecified could be Instagram, right?
Yeah.
That could be, those are the ones falling through the cracks. I don't know how they got to me, which is really, really annoying. But I'm not too worried about that 6 bookings from Instagram, right? I can cut that out. I can lose that. That doesn't feel too risky to me. Like you said, it's a brave move, but that doesn't feel super brave because, I think I could do without those 6 bookings, find those elsewhere. But what does worry me is that unspecified category because I don't know where they've come from. So we'll see on that.
It's not only couples finding you directly, it's other suppliers maybe talking about you on Instagram, tagging you on Instagram, and then that kind of that web that gets created out there that they can find you.
So I mean, to be clear, I've only stopped posting on Instagram. The profile's still there. People can still tag me. I'm still going on checking messages. So if I get a collab request, I'll still accept that. I'm just not posting. I'm not contributing to the algorithm and the mess that I think Instagram has become. And so that's, the reason I kind of wanted to do this, I've been thinking about it for years, but I just think something's been building in the past, 12 to 18 months that's, culminated in this point where I just feel like there's 2 aspects to it. One, I just think Instagram is a bad place to be. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But I also, on the other hand, the other reason was just that I started to feel uncomfortable about sharing people's weddings, basically. So to talk about just Instagram being bad in particular, I think obviously Instagram's changed a lot since we first started getting on Instagram. When you had your Facebook page and then it was like, oh, let's start marketing on Instagram. And it was like this big new thing, but it's so different to how it was then with, the rise of short form content and how we're encouraged to not post long form stuff on there. And I mean, you say you're not on socials that much, right? You barely post to Instagram as well. So I feel like, I don't know. Are you even aware of Instagram changing,
In a way, I know that it's kind of moved more towards like almost a TikTok format. Is that kind of what you mean? Where it's like where you've been bombarded with just fast nonsense?
Yeah, so I think, there's like, it's all like, 10-second like brain rot stuff, and then now like half of that is AI generated slop as well. And it's just, I had a kid a couple of years ago, as you know, and I don't want to accept that this is how the world is now, that it's just people are just going to spend more and more time on Instagram. And you know what it's like? You get hooked by a reel, and then before you know it, 20 minutes has gone by, and you're not, if you got asked, what did you just spend like 20 minutes doing? You can't even recall the reels you just watched. It's just designed to kind of farm your attention. And I read this book recently called The Anxious Generation. I don't know if you've heard about it or...
No.
So it's this guy, Jonathan, I don't know how to say his surname, Haidt, Jonathan Haidt, I don't know. But in this book, it's just all about how like kids are being ruined by social media and smartphones, basically. This sounds very dramatic. I'm hearing myself say it all sounds very dramatic, but the stats he like brings up in that book are really dramatic. He basically just talks about this like mental health epidemic that correspond like amongst teenagers in particular, that corresponds with like the growth of Instagram and smartphones. And he's talking about social media, but I'm saying Instagram because I think it is Instagram. Like, I don't think Facebook or Twitter or Reddit or whatever have the same kind of impact. Especially amongst like, he talks a lot about teenage girls and how they're hit the most because they have this kind of, evolutionary drive to compare themselves to other women. So they're the ones who are getting hit the most. So I've got some stats here. So it's like,
is that a thing? So is that a girl's more likely to compare themselves than like blokes are?
Yeah. So he studied like boys and girls, and it's just way worse with teenage girls. But it is bad with both, but it's been way worse for females. So there's like self-harm, like incidences, like suicides have gone up like 167% in the last 15 years amongst teenage girls. And like, there's nothing else to explain it other than social media and smartphones and things.
What about COVID?
I won't go into the other stats because it's very bleak. But this was it started in 2013.
Oh, so, right, okay.
Yeah, so it's like 2013, 2015, like a lot of the stats, like that's when like things just kind of shot up. I won't read off any more stats because they're really depressing.
No, go on. Tell us some more. Tell me some more depressing stats. I want to get a feel for how bad this is.
So there's self-harm visits went up. They tripled amongst 10 to 14-year-old girls after 2012. Like 10 to 14-year-old girls, that is.
Good grief.
And you might be like, we're not contributing to that, being wedding videographers posting wedding content, right? But I think there's like a misalignment in values there where I was feeling like Instagram's just a bad place. And then I thought, well, I don't want to be on there. So there was, I think I told you about this, where there was like a big lawsuit filed against a few social media companies. And it came out from this lawsuit, like, leaked documents and stuff, that Meta had, like, within Meta, there's like a risk group. They're assessing like safety and stuff. And they were saying, look, there's loads of like teenagers who are being recommended like problematic adult accounts, like predators and things. And there's all these like incidents of, I can't remember what they called them, whether the inappropriate adults, they called it. And it was interactions with inappropriate adults. And they had like a euphemism for it, like an initialism, because they were talking about it so much, like within Meta. And they basically said, like, look, if we just make all teenage accounts private, we'll cut down this many of these bad things. And then Meta were like, well, hang on, let's look at how much money that would lose us. And then they decided not to do it because they were losing too much money from it, or they would have lost too much money. So they were like, no, we'll knowingly just keep letting kids be like targeted and like interacted with by predators and other kind of inappropriate adults, as they termed it. And like, so that came out in November. And then shortly after that, they did a user interface change where, again, I don't know if you spend enough time on there to have noticed it, but you have this muscle memory where you know where the search button is, you know where the messages button is. And it used to be that you swipe to the left to get over to your messages button. So you open Instagram, swipe to the left, and then they just replaced that with Reels. So you just swipe to the left and immediately it was like, bam, video trying to grab your attention. And then they moved the messages button as well. So that became the Reels button. So it was just, they tried to, it's like they insidiously tried to steer you towards this addictive content. And it's like, I feel like they used to pretend that, oh no, Meta's just here. Like we're just, Instagram, it's a tool for connecting. And now it's like, they're not even hiding it. It's just like, yeah, we just want to keep you on the app to make money from you. And it just felt, I don't want to use the word evil. I don't want to be that dramatic about it, but it just, I don't know that there's anything good coming from social media and coming from Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I can't see any benefit for it. So we got an email from our kids' school, and it was basically a questionnaire, and it was like, "What is your thoughts on your kids having social media?" And it was like, "Would you let your kids have a social media?" I'm thinking, of course not. Like, what? There's no benefit for a kid having social media at all. And when I think about it, I hate it as well because I don't know. It's been fantastic for my business, really good for my business. But like but I'm well aware that 95% of everything on there is complete and utter bullshit, and everything you're seeing from people is just lies. And I think I'm quite comfortable going and looking at other people's work, and I really like looking at other people's work, and it doesn't make me feel bad. But I know a lot of people go on social media, they see other people's work, and it makes them feel bad about their own work. And the only benefit they get from social media is the dopamine hit of when they get likes and stuff like that when they post stuff up. But then there's the inverse of that when they don't get enough likes, and it sends them that
cripples them.
Yeah. And I just think I would love to come away from it. I think Facebook was the one that I really didn't. I've never really minded Instagram. Like I don't really go search on it, looking through it or anything. But Facebook for a while did used to always. I found myself scrolling through Facebook, looking at absolute nonsense, and then you get these. It's quite often something like a post from like the Sun or something like that, and they always put these rage bait stuff up, and I end up looking at the comments just to see what the people are saying, and it's so depressing. So I like turned off all notifications off Facebook, and I tried to delete it, but then I do need it. It's quite useful for me for some of the groups I'm in. Yeah. But like, I guess I'd love to be able to turn it all off completely, but then the good bits are so valuable, I find. Do you, what things from quitting Instagram, what would be the things that you'd miss the most?
It is just the findability, isn't it? That's the main thing. It is that, it's the collabing and people finding you through that. I'll get inquiries and they're like, oh, I saw you on this venue's account. And I'm like, oh, they collabed with me 6 months ago or something. People are still finding that now. So I'm conscious that, if I'm not posting on Instagram now, I may not even see the ramifications of that for another couple of years, like the knock-on effect. I don't know. But we'll talk about kind of how I'm kind of addressing like what my plan is going forward to try and counteract this.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about the other side of the feeling bad about posting people's weddings. So I had 2 reels last year that went like, I don't know, not viral, but like a couple of million views on each one. And, you post a reel on there, you want it to be, seen to an extent. And one of them was a father of the bride speech, like with footage of him seeing his daughter, the reveal over the top. And then the other one was just like a snippet from a best man speech. And the couples, obviously, they consent to being shared in the contract. For most of us, that's usually how it works. But they're not consenting to 2 million people seeing that footage, like 2 million people seeing this bride's dad crying, seeing her in the dress for the first time. I just didn't feel good about that. Even now, as we sat here, I've got comments and likes coming in on those 2 reels from strangers. Someone in Puerto Rico being like, the relationship between a father and a daughter is so special, and it's just a stranger on there, and that's their real life. Like what are we doing? And this it feels like it's become the norm now, where we're just sharing these intimate moments from people's wedding days, and what an honor it is that we're trusted to be there on that day. And then we go and share these little moments. And I think, you could say sharing films on your website is just the same, but I think it's so different to trying to take a short form moment, like a short form video from a moment like a father of the bride reveal, and posting that with a caption designed to make people stop scrolling and watch. You're optimizing it to be watched and to be shared and to go viral. The only reason to do all of that is to try and make that particular moment go viral. And I think there's something wrong with that. And I think we've all kind of forgotten that. And I'm not saying, I don't want to sit here and be like, I'm better than you because I'm not going to share this anymore. I think none of us want to be doing that. None of us want to be sharing these moments on Instagram. I don't think any of us became wedding filmmakers to make 20-second reels. That's not what it's about. It's not what it should be about. But I think we all feel like we have to play the game. So I just want to see if there is a way of not playing that game, and doing it in a different way. Because, I like what I do. I like my job. And you've said at Coda the past couple of years, you've always finished Coda by crying on stage. By
you could have made me sound cooler than that. You could.
That's what it is. Let's be real. Yeah, you stood there and you've talked about how meaningful our job is and how ultimately it's valuable to people. You've said people remember what their grandparents sound like because of what we do, and the Coda for the past couple of years, that has revolutionized my approach. And I think in conjunction with, my partner Jess, her dad died a few years ago, and then we had our son, and it's just made me realize how important this job is. And I know we're not out here curing cancer or anything, but I do think we are making the world a better place. That might sound hyperbolic, but I don't think it is. I think, you just want to do something nice in the world, and I genuinely think we are. And I do feel proud of what I do. And then it's just felt like the past few years, everything that we do on Instagram is kind of undermining that good thing.
Yeah, it's like a dirty thing we've all been taking part in, and we've got this beautiful business, but we've been playing this dirty game that these algorithms have been forcing us to do. On those I've had the same thoughts of you though. Those viral reels, because you see it quite often, don't you? The
groom crying with the I've seen loads of these now where the daughter's reading something out and they're playing the sound from it, and so he's crying at the front, and it's, how many of those did you see last year? And it's did he, when he proposed to his partner and started planning the wedding, research videographers and that, was he thinking, I can't wait to go bloody viral crying on my wedding day? Something that my little girl said. It's kind of weird,
And you guarantee to have, with those kind of numbers, with millions, you're going to get negative comments no matter what. There's gonna start getting negative comments, and that's what I've struggled with it. I wouldn't want my couples to get themselves into a position where there's footage online of them that people can then criticize. I mean, it's fine having I feel the wedding films is fine, right? It's because it's just a bit of a portfolio piece up there. But when a reel goes viral, exactly like you've been saying, it's then put out to people that aren't necessarily looking for weddings. It's put out to absolutely everyone. And people can start making judgments about these people from a few seconds of what they've read, and it's it's unfair, isn't it? It's really unfair.
It's like making them reality TV stars without them.
Yeah,
they're just people getting married. They didn't ask for this. Yeah.
I can't, man. I kind of you've convinced me.
And I think, like you say, having the portfolio on your website, that's very different, isn't it? That's here's my work, here's how I work. You're seeing a full film, those moments are taken within context, and it's kind of, this is just what you can expect. That's very different to, I see it all the time that POV, your dad sees you in your dress for the first time on your web. What are we doing? Come on.
I think with the website as well, people are going to your website because they specifically want to look at wedding films. But with reels, it goes into this weird world where they start getting pushed to anyone and everyone, whether they've got an interest in weddings or not, So it's almost, I get what you're saying, having them on your website feels safe. But then the reels are a little bit, especially when it's bits of speeches, that's a bit too, I don't know, it's a bit too authentic. Come on, what's the word? I can say the reels are a bit too real is the only way I can think of saying it, because we're kind of curating what the person says in the film, aren't we? And we're kind of making it seem better and giving it gravitas. But there's a lot of flaws left out there in these snippets from speeches for people to criticize and kind of give people digs. And it's quite, it feels unfair.
Imagine if 20 years ago or longer, whenever You've Been Framed was around, imagine if the wedding videographers back then would have just taken bits from their wedding videos and just sent them off to You've Been Framed. That would have been scandalous. And that's essentially what we're kind of doing.
It really is. That's a great analogy.
And maybe
Lisa Riley introducing the clip from, but on a lot of it, say the one with the groom crying at the top of the aisle, we've seen a few of. That goes viral because it's a feel good moment, right? So I feel like that's not as bad. But the got ones where people if anything, when something goes wrong or someone falls over or something like that, I'd feel very uncomfortable about posting something like that, because you basically want to go viral at their expense.
Yeah. I don't know how you handle this, but I've never really thought about it until recently, that I'm always sharing clips that have kids in. And I've never really considered that, you know?
That's a very recent one on my mind that started to bother me a little bit, because I really like capturing the kids at the wedding, especially if it's the couple's kid. Then you want to get loads of footage of them.
Let's take that sentence right there. We got him, guys. Take that.
I like capturing kids, but they on a wedding day they're always doing something interesting, aren't they? Because they've got no ambitions in front of a camera. They just go do their thing and they enjoy their day. So you can always get great footage. But then, like you said, then surely I have no right of putting that film out anywhere, because I don't think I wouldn't want someone filming my kid and putting it online. So surely I can't be doing that with other people's kids.
Yeah.
So what do I do?
So many of us do, right? Like, I don't know what. I think I have something in my contracts that, there's an implied consent by everyone there, and it's like the couple's responsibility to let people know. But it's a definite grey area, isn't it? But you see kids on people's Instagrams all the time that, just random guests at a wedding or whatever, or even like the couple's children, and then that's weird as well. Because I feel like most videographers probably aren't going to the couple and saying explicitly, "You okay if I share this with your kid in?" It's just.
I think the couple would expect it. If you're sharing something, they're going to want to hope the kids are in any of their films that you've created for them, aren't they? So surely they kind of get that. If they had a problem, I think they'd let you know, right?
They'd let you know before. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But it's an area that we need to look into. And I think there's a photographer like Adam Lowndes, and he decided that he was going to make sure there was no kids at all on his feed. And he does a lot of behind the scenes footage, so he made sure he's blurring out any kids and stuff. And I think that's the way forward, because they have, it's okay as us as adults to go on there, because we know what's going on, but kids should have the right to not be on social media at all if they until they decide they want to, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's probably worth noting as well that we talked at the beginning about like new people coming into the industry, the youngsters, and maybe I'm sitting here sounding like coming across as like out of touch and old and grumpy. I don't know, but I don't think that is the case. From what social media use has been declining since 2022, and you see like iPod sales are on the rise. Kids are using wired earphones again. They're like rebelling against AirPods because their parents use AirPods. There's this like Gen Z and Gen A, they've been born into this what felt like the future to us, but is actually just their reality, and they're a bit like that. They're kind of rebelling against it, as every generation rebels against the status quo. So I do think there's potential that the people we want to be marketing to in the next decade or so aren't going to want to be on Instagram. And that's kind of what I'm betting on. that's what I'm hoping.
It would it gives them the ick that there's a company they've got an Instagram page. Oh, gross.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're saying that I can actually totally imagine that.
That's how we feel about Facebook pages now, don't we?
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say that exact thing. Like when I see someone posting on a Facebook page, I'm like, ugh, that's so out of touch. But
even if I'm wrong, and loads of people still want to be on Instagram, and Gen Z and Gen A and whatever, they want to be on Instagram, and I'm just really in the wrong here. I still think that's okay, because I only need to find my 15 couples each year that align with my values, and I'm sure some will still align with that. Prioritizing privacy and using that as a marketing point, saying like, I'm not going to share your wedding on social media. I still think that there's a niche there. Like I was saying to you earlier about whatever package you come up with, you can find your niche. I just think there's a niche there for anything, and you can just lean into that. So I think even if I am in the wrong, I think that's okay, right? It's okay to align with your own values, even if they're not the majority's values, and really lean into that. But we'll see.
I think that's the thing. That is, you hit the nail on the head there. Like leaning into your values rather than trying to be dictated how to run a business based on what you think we're supposed to do. We've got this wonderful opportunity where we've been able to pull a business out of our ass, like absolutely magic this business out of our ass. So then we have the power to run it however we want. And that's the beauty of being self-employed. You run that business how you want. We haven't got like corporate telling us what to do. So absolutely, we're in the perfect spot to create something that aligns with our personal values as well as what we want to achieve from a business point of view. But what are you going to say? So suddenly this whole avenue of work has been abandoned. I know, and I'm sure that you're the kind of person that kind of strategizes. So I imagine you've come up with a plan of how you're going to compensate for this potential loss of work inquiries. What are you doing to compensate for the lack of Instagram?
So you'd think so, wouldn't you? And I've had so many people be like, "Oh, I'm sure you've got, yeah, I bet your SEO's bulletproof, isn't it?" And yeah, no, I don't have a fully formed. Realistically, it's been a good time for me to do this because, my booking's looking okay for this year. I only want 15. I think I'm on 11 for this year. Like, I think I'll get 4 more, no problem. So it feels like there's plenty of time. If this turns out to be a really bad idea, if we get to September and I've got no 2027 bookings, then maybe I'll pivot and I'll go running straight back to Instagram with my tail between my legs. That's what I thought, when I initially came off. But now I'm actually thinking I'd probably just go and do Google Ads or something instead because I'm enjoying not posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
Even just taking photos of, my dog on the beach. I'm taking them in landscape again because I'm not got in the back of my head that, oh, this could be valuable as a story to use for marketing purposes, So that's been interesting how that's just changed instantly.
What about like kind of connections that you've made with suppliers? Have you reached out to any? Because I know you work with planners occasionally, don't you?
Yeah.
Quite regularly, I feel like whenever I work with you, you've always been working with a planner. But have you reached out to them to let them know?
Yeah. So yeah, the plan is to try and value those real life relationships and networking. Because as I said, getting bookings from other wedding suppliers has been my most successful lead source in the past. So I'm going to try and lean into that. So yeah, I have messaged. I sent an email out to quite a lot of planners, the majority of whom ignored me, I'll be honest. But it was just kind of saying, look, this is what I've done. I'm letting you know just because it means, if you tag me in anything, I might not see it. But I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be prioritizing privacy and discretion. And if you think that will appeal to your clients, I'd love for you to share that with them, that kind of thing. And I did have a few responses from some planners like, yeah, I love this. I've been thinking the same, blah, blah, blah. So that's been really encouraging. But then, I'd say the majority of them did just not respond, but that's fine. And then I also reached out to a lot of photographers and other suppliers that, I've just met over the years. Just again to say, yeah, I'm doing this. Like, feel free to still tag me if, don't think that I'm just disappearing entirely. Like, my account is still there if you are going to tag the videographer. And, I'd love to kind of work with you again. And if there's anything I can do to help support your business, let me know and let's keep in touch. And just trying to, I don't know. It all sounds like empty words, doesn't it? The whole like trying to foster these real life relationships and just like, oh, let's take this off Instagram. Here's my number, blah, blah, blah. How much of that actually follows through, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm definitely going to try and just be a better bloke this year at wedding.
Like, oh no!
You always.
Oh, no. You can't rely on your personality, Arran. That's going to get you nowhere.
Well, yeah, I'm not you, am I? Like you're always talking about you love the chit chat at weddings, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm so insular on a wedding day. This is why I hate having second shooters. I don't really want someone talking to me. I'm so in my own head thinking about things that I don't really want to be chatting to other suppliers and networking. But then, I see how valuable that's been for you. And I see how valuable it's been for other people. And I think I should probably make more of an effort. But then you can't do it like,
it has to be organic and natural. Like, I don't chit chat because I want to get work. Like, I literally like to talk to these people. So you're going to have to like.
No, I'm just going to pretend. I'm just going to pretend it'll be fine. But I just think, just trying to be, just being a bit more sociable rather than just thinking like I'm just, trying to do my own thing, being tunnel visioned. Like it is probably a good idea because you do, I've made really good friends over the years at weddings, usually because they've been really, really extroverted and they've broken through my blinders, so I've not been able to ignore them. But yeah, so that's those real life relationships are something I'm going to try and use as an opportunity to really kind of, foster those and nurture those. That sounds really wanky, doesn't it? Nurture those relationships. And then the other thing I'm really going to lean into, hopefully, is showing up in AI search.
Right.
Because, so as you said before, we're getting married next year. Hopefully, nothing's booked. We'll see. But yeah, we like Jess. Our partner Jess, she's been doing most of the research, and she has not come off ChatGPT for the research. Like that is the only thing she is using, and so many of my friends, like ChatGPT has just replaced Google for them now.
For me, it has. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'm like, why? It doesn't feel like a lot of us are trying to tap into this niche. But I think this is potentially, the next avenue where we should be directing our energies. And like ChatGPT just announced they're doing ads soon. They're doing a lower cost plan with ads. So, if they start doing, I think right now you have to buy in for like $1 million to get an ad on ChatGPT. But if they start doing, a Google AdWords type thing, then that feels like a no-brainer for us. If people are searching, best videographers in my area on ChatGPT, and then you can get an ad in there, that feels,
but surely
really valuable.
Everyone will stop using it straight away as soon as it's kind of like based on ads. Like, because it depends how it's delivered, I guess. Because at the minute you can quite easily just, which ones are the ads on Google, right? You can skip past them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would be implemented within ChatGPT though.
Have we not just spent 40 minutes talking about how much time people spend on Instagram, and half of that is ads? Half of that is sponsored content. Like, I think you underestimate potentially how willing people are to endure ads to get something cheaper.
Yeah, but my thinking is, like, ChatGPT say, who are the best videographers in Nuneaton? Stretching the boat out far here. And then it gives you a list, right? Yeah. And that's the beauty of ChatGPT. That's why it's beating Google for me, because I know it's searching everywhere and it's using the best research, the best information to create this list for me. If that then has got ads in, you start not believing anything ChatGPT is giving you, and like you kind of just lose faith in it.
Well, they said it's going to be very clear which what's the ad and what's not. But until they actually implement it, I don't know.
I guess you could have the text come up, and then it could be like an images underneath, which are the ads, like thumbnails to swipe through or something, like to try and appeal. Because to be fair, I'd pay for that. I'd pay to show up on that. If people that knowing that people are searching for the specific thing I want to be keyworded for, whatever, I think I'd pay good money for that. Yeah. But so what are you going to do then to kind of show up on AI? Have you got a plan?
It's a work in progress, Roo. I'm working on it.
This whole thing is a work in progress. I thought you had a whole massive plan. You're like,
we should have done this podcast in a couple of months. From what I can tell, it essentially seems like all the old SEO stuff is kind of becoming relevant again.
Yeah.
And I heard someone say yesterday that Rock My Weddings had become irrelevant. And I thought, all those wedding blogs are coming right back up now because of AI search. So one thing I've done since quitting Instagram, I've joined Hitched, which I never thought I'd ever do. That's like,
I'm quitting Instagram for Hitched. Bridebook next.
Babe, I'm on Bridebook. But those are like the pits, right? Those are like, I know a lot of people get a lot of work from Hitched and Bridebook, but they tend to be, more volume brands. You're doing like 30 to 50 weddings, and it's lower cost. Like, you're not getting the high end weddings on Hitched typically. But that's where ChatGPT is pulling its results from. So you kind of got to be, on these directories. You've got to be, creating blog posts again. I feel like people have kind of stopped doing blog posts the last few years, but I think that is quickly becoming relevant again. And yeah, just basically all that kind of SEO stuff that we all hated doing and we've all got really complacent with because Instagram was so much easier. I think it's potentially about to become very important again.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because when I've looked into any of the AI search, because I was obsessed with SEO and I rank quite high for SEO my terms, but I'm not ranking on those same terms on AI. And I'm looking to see what the difference is. And like you said, it's directories. Directories are a big source of what they're using their ranking system from. Old school backlinks, which is great for SEO as well. That is really important for AI, isn't it? And I've heard as well, and it makes sense to me, that kind of, because quite often with ChatGPT, people want an answer to a specific question. So it's a case of trying to be able to provide answers to questions that people are going to ask. So FAQs, for example. And I think my process going forward at the minute I create SEO pages for specific venues. And I usually get like a couple. I think it was the Phil White technique of getting the couple to write a Q&A, giving them a Q&A form, so they write a questionnaire out for you.
And
so
you can basically use that as the blog post.
Copy and paste it in. Yeah. But I think creating a blog page, but then having FAQs about frequently asked questions about that specific venue that people that want to book weddings there will be asking.
So then when people are searching specific questions about that venue, ChatGPT is hopefully pulling it from you. And then they end up on your website. Hopefully.
Yeah. And it will put you, and if they start feeding from your website, they're going to rank you higher when people search for videographers as well, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So I think
as well, what I've seen is that the way AI kind of reads the internet is obviously very different to ours. So everything has to be very consistent. So your Google business page name needs to be the same as what you're kind of trying to rank for SEO on your homepage, for example. And then like Google business page apparently is very important now. So I've now started trying to get people to leave reviews on there because that's important. And I've also been doing Google business page posts, which I didn't even know existed, but you can do posts on there. So it's kind of like a mini blog post.
Right.
And it just shows up if you come across your business page, it has these posts and you can add a photo to each one, and it's helping build up this photo library on there of you. And it's just, basically ChatGPT, or, I feel like we've only talked about ChatGPT, but there are obviously lots of AI providers out there, Gemini, whatever.
We're not on the BBC. You don't have to name them all.
Do we not have to disclose? And Google are trying to replace the main search page with their AI search page. I don't know if you've ever used their AI search page, but it's basically just like a ChatGPT chatbot experience, but they're trying to make that the default setting for Google, which is going to change how search works entirely. So basically, these AI, they need to be able to kind of verify who you are. And the best way of doing that is by being in as many places as possible and being consistent. So every time your name appears, it needs to be accompanied by wedding videographer or wedding filmmaker, and it just needs to be, and it's not that important as SEO where it needs to be wedding videographer each time because the AI is smart enough to use synonyms, but it needs to kind of be able to corroborate you all across the internet to help you rank highly, just because it thinks you're very trustworthy. Then that's your Google business page, but then you're also on Hitch and you're also on Bridebook, and they have their trustworthy sources allegedly, and then you're also on, I don't know, a top 10 wedding videographers in the UK list that you paid to be on through one of those websites. That all adds up in the same way it used to for SEO, and it just makes ChatGPT think, right, this is a real person, and he does do wedding videography, and he's been kind of referenced multiple times. And there's little things you can do to signal to ChatGPT what each of these instances is. So if you look into, I'll just say the word schema. I don't know if you've heard the word schema.
Yeah.
So I hadn't until very recently.
Because that's telling you what the part of the page actually is, what it specifically is. So like an FAQ, you need it to be in the schema that it's an FAQ. So when AI is trailing it, it's like, this is the FAQ section. This is what I need to look at. That kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about this until, very recently. But it sounds like you're on it, mate. You're AI'd up, aren't you? You're ready to go.
Because it's basically SEO, isn't it? Yeah. It's just that all that is SEO practices, but like we're going back to old school SEO, but just kind of refining it for Google itself. But directories before weren't really a big deal for SEO because there used to always be no follow links. That was the thing. You need them to be follow links for it to count for a backlink. But AI doesn't really mind about that because it knows, like, say, Hitch is a trusted source. It will search through it, and it knows if there's links there. Then it's sound with it. It's intelligent to not have to have Google has they call it the spiders, don't they? That go through and they follow all the links. So, but AI can
know a lot more about this than I do. Really.
Yeah, but that's my theory on it. Is like with Google, it would send out the trackers would go onto a page, and if there's a link, it will then follow that link to where it's going. And then so if it's your name and it's like Arran Kenny, and that's a link to your website, it'll click on Arran Kenny on Hitched, then it'll go to your website and go, right, this website is this guy, and it knows who you are. But a lot of the directories, there were no follow links, so it didn't actually, it wouldn't let the Google spiders or whatever go through to your website. It wouldn't let them go off there. It would be like a dead stop. So it doesn't actually associate you with that link. Whereas AI isn't doing that. It's reading the information, isn't it? Rather than following a Google track. He says. Who knows?
I think you're right. It's just literally reading it, right? It's just reading the information. It's like, oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah. And using what it knows from other things to add it together. It's not relying on just a aimless track through running through links like Google does. It's completely different. It's way more intelligent than that. But AI is a big part of your life, right? Like Arran AI. I think the best thing that's ever happened for you is AI because it's allowed you to immerse yourself more into a software world rather than living in the real world. But and I know because you've got like a Facebook page, haven't you, where you kind of give tips for wedding filmmakers about how to implement AI. What are the main ways you have been using it in your business? How has it changed your business life and your personal life as well?
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to come across as a big hypocrite because I'm talking about focusing on privacy and not wanting to share people's wedding moments. But then all day, every day, I wear basically a microphone around my neck. I've got it on right now because I'm recording the audio through the computer anyway. But I have like an AI listening device that kind of gives me notes from every conversation. It gives me to-dos every day. It's changed my life to no end. I can't even put a number on the value that's given me.
So this is crazy. So this is like, it's a wearable microphone that you've always got on you that's always recording.
It connects to your phone via Bluetooth. There's an app. And so the one I'm using right now is called Omi, OMI. And it kind of, if you say, oh, we've run out of milk, it will infer from that you need to buy milk. So it'll just add to the tasks, buy milk. And it's that you have some magical experiences with it where you might be like, me and Jess might be talking and I'll say, we need to remember to do such and such a thing later. And I won't, there's all these little things that happen every day. You don't think, oh, I'm going to add this to my to-do list. I'm going to get my phone out and add it as a task to whatever, thing you use. But then later on, you just get a notification from your phones reminding you to do the thing that you didn't even know you'd asked your phone to remind you about. And it's just magic.
Is that not creepy?
And then it depends, right? It depends on your...
your version of creepy.
your stance, right? But it can be, can't it? Because it is essentially just recording audio. But it's not like I'm sitting there listening to audio. It's just giving you like a transcript of everything. And it's actually boiling that down just to notes. And until you start recording your entire day, you don't realize how much audio there actually is. So everything is just a drop in the ocean. I do have friends that are like, oh, can you turn your cyborg device off or whatever? And I will do, but I really don't think they need to because, as I say, it's a drop in the ocean from all the audio that gets captured. And this thing has HIPAA compliance, which is the level of like protection and data privacy that doctors need for their like note-taking software. So that's how like safe it is. But yeah, it's changed my life. It really has. So I had a moment where a planner asked me to put together something for her and I just didn't have time, but I said, I'll do it, in a couple of months. And I went to do it and I was like, I really can't remember what she wanted in this little reel she wanted me to make. And I was just able to just go back to this conversation from 3 months earlier and just see the exact words she said of what she wanted from me. And then, without me having to bother her again, be like, sorry, I forgot what you said. And then put this reel together, sent it to her. The next day she gave me a wedding and I booked it. And that felt like such a good return on investment from this little device.
Do you use it to win arguments when people, or you go back and realize, oh no, I didn't say that actually? That's what I'd be using it for.
When I'm arguing with Jess, I try. I will never I'll never bring up the transcript, but she will sometimes ask me to. And
oh, really?
yeah. Sometimes she's like, get your phone out now. Let's read that back. But yeah, I would never do that because I'm such a kind of gracious. And...
Of course. So I just can't get my head right. I mean, I guess for someone like me who's insanely forgetful, I can imagine it'd be very, very helpful. What I know, I'd only end up using it to try and get data on how many farts I do a day. Because I would quite like, surely it'll know that, won't it? I bet it'll be able to know like what sound wave is fart.
Well, it only
We're
does,
really
it
getting into intellectual stuff here.
I think you could do things like, how many times did I swear today, stuff like that. And it could do little graphs and things. You can, because it does have it just has like an AI chatbot in it. So I cancelled my ChatGPT subscription now because I have this thing and it's like ChatGPT but with all this context from your life. And it also, you can kind of just press, so you have it on your chest, you just press the button and speak, and you can just ask ChatGPT something straight away, or whatever AI model they're using. And it comes through as a notification on your phone or on your watch. So I can be like, I can be playing with my son and he's like pointing at a thing and he's like, what's that? And I don't know what it's called. There was a thing, it was in this book, it was like a scrapyard claw thing. I didn't know what it was called. I just asked and I just told him the answer because it just came up on my watch. I didn't have to get my phone out for that and like have a device there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is a device, but it's different. I don't know. It just, until you can just ask AI something that easily. You don't know what you're missing, honestly.
You're afraid of looking stupid in front of your kid, so you got an AI listening device. I don't know what they call a scrap metal thing, son. I'm just an idiot. But what other ways do you use it? Because I remember you mentioned before you're using some kind of screen recording software as well when you're working. Are you still trialing that?
Yeah, so that's actually the same company, OMI. So they've launched this thing where it records your screen. It basically takes a screenshot every second, and then you can kind of go back and search through that. So it can kind of read your screen essentially. So yeah, there's been times like you draft an email and then you end up deleting the draft, and then you're like, actually, I want to go back and pull something out of that. And the function in this is called rewind, and you just literally rewind and you go look at that screenshot and you can just pull that out again. Or say you didn't save an edit, you can literally go back and see what the timeline looks like. So you could just recreate that. Or you like, what was that website? What was that product I saw that I can't remember the name of? And you can just find it. But what they've also started doing recently, they've added this like focus monitor to it. So it will come up with little notifications and say, oh, you've been on Facebook for a little while. Why don't you get back to editing? And it also will give you tips while you're editing. So it comes up saying the highlights on that dress look a bit blown out. Why don't you try pulling down the highlights?
Bloody hell. It's like having someone over your shoulder nagging at you.
It's mad. It is. And a lot of the stuff it's saying is really basic stuff. But there's so much potential there that, one day it could really help coach you to just be better, I guess.
You've used this song on 47 highlights this year. Choose another one. Hi guys, it's Roo here, and just a quick break to tell you about brideandgroom.video. Brideandgroom.video are a team of incredible wedding editors who are here to help support you and get your editing queue under control. I recently received my first edit back from them and I've been blown away by the results. I could have delivered that film straight away with no alterations whatsoever. I was really amazed with how they created the story by matching the B-roll to the narrative audio and keeping that flow throughout the whole film. That is a key feature of my own films, so it was great to have a film done by somebody else that still feels like a Roo Films film. So if you are struggling to get wedding films out the door and you're drowning under a pile of editing, I highly recommend brideandgroom.video to help you get back on track. They will help you make films that still feel like you've made them yourself. And if you use the code CODA75, you get £75 off your first order. Now let's get back to the episode. On most days, what are you using that listening device for? How is it useful for you? I don't know, how deep do you go in with it? Is it literally just like, what did I say about the milk? Like, or is it, are you going a bit deeper than that?
So yeah, I get like a summary from it each morning. That's like, here's some like highlights from yesterday. It gives me some quotes from yesterday. You might get like a nice quote from your kid or whatever. And then I also get it to like analyze, how did I kind of show up in my business yesterday? And it'll say, you spent a lot of time on emails yesterday or client calls. You didn't actually, push the edits at all. And it knows what I'm editing right now because it's got so much context. And it'll say, Isabel and John's film, you didn't make much progress on it, but you did have that client call. And I know your goal is to get 15 weddings this year. So well done on that front. So it's kind of like a bit like a business coach. And you can ask it to analyze your calls. Our friend Craig, he has one and he literally only uses it for his client calls. He just analyze my call and that's all he does with it. And it just gives him like a rating out of 10 and some tips on how to be better, what he did well. And that's the only thing, the only time he uses it, the only time he switches it on. I also ask it to like analyze, I ask it how I could have been a better partner to Jess yesterday or how I could have been a better dad. And it's, it'll say things like, you and Jess had this discussion where she said she was feeling stressed and you told her to drink water, whereas actually she was looking for sympathy, something like that. You know what I mean? The man thing of you're offering a solution instead of, hearing them.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just things like that. I just think it is just like having a life coach and a business coach, but it's just cheap.
Yeah. How much does it cost then?
I think the device is like $70 and then it's a $200 a year subscription, I think, for the AI. But as I said, it replaces your ChatGPT subscription. But yeah, I would recommend.
What about the email thing you're using as well? I know you were banging on about that for a bit. Are you still on that?
Yeah.
What's it called?
So, well, there's two things you could be talking about there. So I use this thing called Poke, which is...
That's the one.
Yeah, so Poke's like an AI assistant that just lives in your WhatsApp or in your iMessage. So it's like chatting with ChatGPT, but it's just over iMessage and it has a bit of a personality. So it feels like it's supposed to feel like a person, like an actual assistant. Like while we've been sat here, it's just let me know that an inquiry's come back and it said, just got an email from such and such a person. He says your quote's higher than expected compared to other videographers. He's waiting on another quote before deciding, and we'll let you know once he can compare. So it's like, it's read the email and it's just giving me this kind of brief summary. And you can tell it what you want to be alerted about, what you don't want to be alerted about. But it will also kind of restructure your calendar for you. You know, if you wake up late one day, well, it can also read your Apple Watch data, so it knows if you've woken up late. So like, I had it one day where it just didn't give me any to-dos that morning. I was like, what's going on? And it was like, oh, I can see that you were up half the night with Callie, so my son Callie. So I thought you'd be taking it easy this morning. And I'm like, that's mind blowing. It's sentient, you know. But yeah, it's called Poke, and it's kind of fun to play with, and you pay what you negotiate with it. So the onboarding experience is like a back and forth with this AI, where you give it your email address and access to your Google account, and it pulls all this info from your inbox, so it knows who you are, and it does a Google search for you. And then it starts kind of, you know, you say, oh, I can't afford $100 a month, and it'll start saying, well, I've seen how many bookings you've had this year. I know what you're earning. And it starts like kind of roasting you a bit. It starts like making fun of you and trying to like banter back and forth. And it's, yeah, people have got it down to like $1. A lot of people pay like $10 a month. Yeah, it's super interesting to see like it's kind of a fun subscription process, if that makes sense.
As long as you get a low price, otherwise it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
That's insane. What did you have something that was actually replying to emails for you as well, though? Was that not Poke?
Well, so that's Poke as well. So it depends what you want to use it for, right? So you can tell it to like automatically respond to certain emails or inquiries. I have it just set up so when I get inquiry, it like tells me about the inquiry, but first it goes and checks my calendar to see if I'm available. So then it can let me know like, oh, you just had an inquiry from such a person on this date at this venue, and you are available, but you have a wedding the week before and the week after, so you might want to reconsider, kind of thing. And you can tell it to reply, or it's kind of, it can do whatever you want it to do, really. It goes as far as you want it to go. I don't really use that for emails because I'm using another tool for emails, which we'll move on to talking about unless you have any more questions about Poke.
No, mate, no, go, yeah. Listen to you. You are such a robot. I am ready to move on now. Next conversation, please.
So I'm using this email app called Net, which is, it's just trying to become a new way of like viewing an email inbox. And the way it works is you either just swipe emails to later, or you swipe them as done, or you hit reply. But the reply process is just a big microphone button. So you just press and hold it, and you just say, you know, whatever the response is. And it will just draft an email like with ChatGPT, but in your voice. So rather than copying the email, pasting it to ChatGPT and saying, you know, respond to this email, like come up with a draft or whatever, it's just there's no friction there, because it's just using your voice and just holding this button. And you just blitz through emails so quickly. It's unbelievable. And it will, you know, you could give it 2-word answers and it will draft this eloquent 4-paragraph email. I try to think of an example. So I had a couple, I think I was trying to arrange a call with them, and like the groom came back and said, sorry for the late response. I've been really busy. I just started a new job. Could you do Monday or Wednesday? Firstly, Poke let me know and said, well, you're busy Monday, but you could do Wednesday. So I opened Net and I just said, tell him Wednesday's fine. And Net drafted this email that included like, hope the new job's going well, all this other stuff that I wouldn't have even written if I'd drafted the email myself, but all these niceties. And it's just saved me so much time every day. And it's kind of fun to use as well. That's what's interesting. It's like, you know, none of us enjoy email, but this is like, it's made email really fun.
Yeah. You look excited to get up in the morning, get the robot on your emails. What can
Honestly,
I
want emails to reply to. I'm like, just please, people email me so I can just.
That's why you come off Instagram.
Speak responses. I think the only other tool I'd really recommend is something called VidFlow, which is just, you know, on the iPhone you can dictate rather than type. You just press a little microphone button, you can speak, but it's kind of trash. Like it gets half the words wrong. It's basically that for your phone, also for, you know, for your desktop. But it's just way smarter, and it will like format things. So if you say, you know, if you send a message saying, again, I'm going to use the milk example, but if you say we need milk, bread and eggs, it won't just put we need milk, bread and eggs. It'll be like we need : with a list 1, 2, 3 milk, bread and eggs, because it just auto formats. And you can also, you know, if you say yeah, I'm available on Monday. No, I mean Wednesday. It'll just say I'm available Wednesday because it's, it's that smart.
It's got works with the context of stuff. It knows how to.
Yeah. And I barely type these days. I say I only type 20% of things that I write now because I'm just speaking it all.
So it's like the best is because I like to send voice notes sometimes just because of speed. But then I feel bad for the person that then has to stop what they're doing to listen to it. Yeah. So this is the perfect kind of solution to that.
That's it. There you go.
Love that. If you are still delivering your wedding films on a USB or struggling to find a sleek professional way to showcase your work, it's time to upgrade your delivery experience with VidFlow, the ultimate online gallery for wedding filmmakers. With VidFlow, your couples can watch their wedding films in stunning quality on any device, including their TV, making it easier than ever for them to relive their best day with family and friends. Plus, with custom branding, easy downloads and cloud backup, you get a premium, hassle-free delivery solution that makes you look as professional as your films deserve. I've been using VidFlow for the last year and my couples have been amazed by its slick interface, especially on their TV. It's like having their very own Netflix of their wedding films. You only pay for what you need, and each of my 4K galleries only cost me about £15, and they stay online for 10 years, so it's a complete no-brainer. Join thousands of filmmakers who have already made the switch, and try VidFlow for free by using the link in the description. Take your film delivery to the next level. Now let's get back to the episode. Let's move on from AI. I want to finish on this last topic, and it's in my mind. It's at the forefront of mind because this coming Monday is going to be the British Wedding Film Festival, and I know that you've entered some films into those awards. So what are your thoughts on awards in general? I know it's one of those topics that kind of, I don't know, splits opinion a little bit, and there's a few different kind of schools of thought on it, but what has been your approach to awards over the years, and what's your thoughts on it going forward?
What are these different schools of thoughts? Are you meaning the aspect of kind of pay to play awards and how that can be a bit controversial?
Yeah, I just think some people are really dead set against awards. I say there's different schools of thought. I think there's two. There's like one where people there's where people are dead set against the awards because they think, I don't know, they often think there's some kind of conspiracy involved, or, people choosing the winners based on who they know and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's the other, I mean, my kind of thoughts on it. I thought awards have been really, really helpful for me as a personal challenge, but also kind of, it's helped me get some recognition on awards that I've won in the past. But how do you sit? Where do you sit within it all?
I think closer to the latter. And your opinion on it, because I think it's quite, what we do is quite a lonely profession, right? And so I think it's natural to try and seek out validation from other, because if you were working in a business, you kind of you get that sort of feedback and stuff all of the time. My partner Jess, she works next to me all day, and she ran a workshop today and straight away was getting feedback on it. And we just don't get that. You get feedback from the couple, but there's no kind of litmus test for how your business is doing, where you're at, just within the industry. I don't know. I think that is important, that there is a value to that for me to enter an award. And I mean, maybe there's only value if you win, I guess, thinking about it. If you win and then you get that validation. If you don't win, then maybe that's not that valuable, is it?
Well, yeah, I guess it's something like Tweer. I guess with that, you get kind of feedback.
You get the voter feedback, don't you?
Yeah. But I mean, even that, though, is always going to be pretty much positive. Because I get to see everyone's feedback with their submissions. They're all the same. It's very rare that anyone's even, because they do get encouraged to give some kind of constructive feedback where possible as well.
Yeah.
Most people don't really. It's just all go, fitted in so well today, we barely knew they were there. It's pretty much across the board.
Yeah. Well, it's such a small part of their lives, isn't it? There's such a contrast between what it means to a couple versus what it means to us. We live and breathe their edits for 2 weeks and then they watch it in 5 minutes. We're just one of many suppliers on one day in their life, whereas for us, it's what we do every day. It's just, I think we probably hold ourselves in higher regard than couples do. And so, they're not going to give constructive feedback, right? Because they're not that bothered. It's just not that deep for them.
But they're not experts in our field either, are they? So they don't really know. It's well, we wanted you to film our wedding. You filmed our wedding, and we like the film.
Yeah.
They're not going to Yeah, I think you should have used variable ND, would have helped things out a little bit.
Your highlight roll off in the bridal prep scenes was a little harsh.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, I kind of like it from, especially with like the British Wedding Film Festival. I like that it's kind of, see it as a celebration of what we do, because it's an awards literally just for us, whereas like TWIA is the whole industry.
Yeah.
I think it kind of signals the change that we've seen over the last couple of years, like a real growth within the videography community, and I don't know, getting taken seriously rather than kind of photographer's little baby brother, annoying little brother.
Yeah, I'm excited about the format of the British Wedding Film Festival, like with, sitting watching some films, and I think that's quite nice. How often do you get to be almost forced to watch someone else's film, but amongst other filmmakers? I think that's a really nice experience.
Yeah.
And then you get that at Coda, right? A lot of people show bits of their films or entire films, and then you do, in the breaks at the Coda conference, you discuss those films, and you're like, oh, I liked that, I liked how they did that, or I didn't like this, that wasn't really my kind of vibe. And I think, that's really enjoyable. If there was a way to just have these kind of events and just show films without there being any award attached to it, I'd go to that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people hate watching wedding films, though. I think I'm in the minority when I love it, and I actually we did the Coda workshop this week as well, where we did that was part of the process. Was everyone shared a film that they wanted critique on. So we watched everyone's film and gave critiques. And well, the process, because this is what we did in our retreats that we do every year, isn't it? But I absolutely loved that. But most people were saying that they don't usually do that. They don't usually watch other work. They they actively avoid looking at other people's wedding films, because
right, really?
I think for a lot of people, I think it puts them into a bad headspace watching other people's work.
Yeah.
And if they spend a lot of their time looking at wedding films, they don't in their spare time want to watch wedding films. Whereas me, I'm like, it's my hobby. Small talk and watching other people's wedding films.
Ideally at the same time, because you're ADHD.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the Coda workshops are. But
I get that argument. I get it's putting you in a bad headspace, but I think actually it's what headspace you bring to it. Like if I'm not in the right mindset, I can't be seeing someone else's film, because, as I say, everyone's so bloody good. It makes you feel better. If you're struggling with an edit and then you go and watch someone's really good film, it can either inspire you and help you like get through that mental block, or it could completely ruin your day, because you think, well, this film's shit. It's never going to look like theirs.
But you used to watch other people's wedding film, like you. A few times you've messaged me, you say, I've got a wedding in the morning. So you got any inspiration of filmmakers to get me going? Like I know you've done that before. So is that something that you're still doing now?
When I first started filming weddings, and I was living in London, I didn't have a car, I didn't drive. So I used to just get the train to every wedding, which led to all kinds of issues with taxis and like near misses and things. But what I really miss, just sitting on the train with a coffee, watching films, because by the time I arrived at that wedding, I was so hyped up, I was so motivated, ready to go. And you can't watch wedding films while you're driving, Roo. They don't allow that.
With AI, you probably will be able to soon. Can you transcribe this wedding film? Describe it for me as a podcast.
I'll just stream it to my brain, while the AI drives the car for me. But yeah, I used to get me so fired up. I really, really miss that. But yeah, I'll try and, in my hotel the night before or in the morning over a Mackey's breakfast, I'll try and watch some films and just kind of get in that zone, get in the headspace.
Yeah. But and so going back to kind of awards then, like, is there, because you don't usually, I know you're entering the British Wedding Film Festival, but I don't think you've entered much before though, have you? This is kind of new ground for you. Is there a reason why this one specifically?
I entered some things back in like 2019, 2020 maybe, and I felt like, I mean, there's no way of saying this without, so I won a couple of awards in 2019 and 2020, and that was like, I felt like I ticked that box, and I had, I could have on my website award winning, and I did a blog post about what it meant to win these awards and stuff, and there was like a recognition element to that, and it felt good. I then had an experience with TWIA where I didn't make the regionals, which you know about.
I wasn't digging for that. I'm glad you brought it up.
It felt like you were digging. Is there any particular reason why you've not entered awards for a while? Yeah, it's because TWIA didn't put me through. Not even as a wild card. I was fuming. No, and it's because, I mean, you've seen it when you get your vote of feedback, the categories, it goes to like 4 decimal places.
Yeah.
Because I'm only shooting 15 weddings a year, I think that year I'd only done 13 or something. So one person putting a 9 in the value for money category had like a 3 decimal place effect for me. So I didn't meet the average. Yeah, I wasn't above the average. Maybe 2 people did it, whatever. But yeah, that kind of really left a sour taste for awards for me, because I thought, and I guess this answers your question of why the Wedding Film Festival Awards. But I think, yeah, these films should be being judged on their merit as films, not necessarily on on a couple filling out a multiple choice questionnaire about your service as a whole, like maybe Martin Scorsese's an absolute prick to work with, but he makes really good art. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Does he not deserve the Oscar then? I don't know. So yeah, I think that has spurred me to kind of enter these awards. I think it's a different concept. And I think it is exciting. And yeah, it'd be nice to win something, wouldn't it? And have be able to update that on your website.
Especially with it being like specifically for us. That's the thing, isn't it? It's other filmmakers based, like you said, you're being judged on the films and the filmmaking.
Yeah.
And that would feel good, I imagine, like to know that, people in the industry are judging you just on that. What is your filmmaking like? That'd be a nice feeling. So fingers crossed for you, mate. Hope you do well.
Have you entered? Are you in?
Yeah, I put 3 in, I think. I was really clutching at straws, like, because I don't want to play myself down, but then looking at the categories, I don't specialize in any of those categories in general. I'm really happy with the films I create for my couples, but I don't think I'm leaning into one particular thing.
Yeah, it's hard, wasn't it? Because I know they're trying to be like the Oscars. That's what they said, right? They want to be the Oscars of the wedding film industry, and I like that. But at the Oscars, you get like best soundtrack, best sound design, best editing, whatever. And so I think they're applying that to wedding films. But it's hard, isn't it? Because how many of us are really putting their all into sound design?
Yeah,
as an example, or.
We can't, can you? Like, you got to spread it, haven't you? I think that's the thing. But surely everyone's in the same boat, though. But like, I don't think
because we can all only realistically devote the same amount of time to each of those disciplines, right? When you're trying to, because we're doing all of it. We're not, as you said earlier, like we're just one man bands. It's just we're doing all of those things. So you kind of you put that amount of time into that element, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, because one was best use of color or something like that. Is that one?
Yeah, and I think there was a sound design one.
Sound design one, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then storytelling, definitely that'd be a really interesting category. Because I see somewhere, I mean, there's a film of yours that I know in particular that incredible storytelling. I imagine you've entered it. But then other bits of
that was in, because there's a outside the wedding category as well, isn't there? Or best
because I'm talking about your cancer film, right? So
but it was best beyond the wedding. That's what
you went for.
I put that one in. Yeah. Because it's kind of it's around the wedding,
It was everything, but the wedding was just a story that kind of happened. It was the reason they were there, but it was a bigger story picture on the outside. Oh yeah, that's interesting. But then like how would the aerial footage one work? I mean, because most people put 1 or 2 drone shots in a film, right? I wonder, like, can people submit like a montage of loads of aerial footage, or like who knows? I guess we'll find out in a few days.
But you do see sometimes, right? There's some drone shots that stick out in my mind, and some things that have changed the way I approach drone shots from films I've seen. Like, I remember watching one of Steve from Blue Ridge's films where it was just a drone shot of the drinks reception, which I was always just getting in a boring way, like just doing the standard parallax, or like, flying towards them, or the top down shot, zooming out. And he'd done this, like, I don't know if he was like skirting around some trees, but also coming up and like panning the camera down at the same time. And I just needed to see that. And I was like, I didn't really realize, I could be doing all sorts with drone shots for troops. And like, now I try a bit harder. And there's some shots you see like top down of like, glass marquees, dance floors, people flying them through fireworks, things like. I think there are some cool drone things that happen, even if it is only 4 seconds in a film. I think it could still be award winning just for that.
It'd be interesting to see how this, after these awards, I wonder how that's going to affect
how it motivates people.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to be like, right, I really want to get banging drone footage or something, might encourage people across. I think that is part of it as well. I think that's the main thing they created the awards, was to try and raise the level across the board of wedding filmmaking, and I think it will encourage people, like, because they want to get
let's
older.
not raise it again, Roo. It's already gotten so much better than when we started. I can't be doing with this. It just gets better and better, and we just what do we do in the end? We'll have to charge the same amount because we're all.
Can we please have a category for business that's not on Instagram, please? Best filmmaker who gets no
business.
work from Instagram. Right, on that note, mate, I think we'll leave it. I know you've got some daddy duties to take care of, but
I do,
thanks ever so much, mate, for jumping on with me tonight. And
I
look forward to hanging out with you at the awards on Monday, and I really hope that I'll be there applauding you as you go to get an award. But
we could both be up there.
Yeah. Imagine that.
You for your drone shots, me for my sound design.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Coda podcast. To find out more about the other educational resources we have on offer, including our annual conference and yearly membership, please visit coda-conference.com.